people, BCHQ, back with another Fight Night card. Fight Night 83, Cerrone versus Oliveira. It's on Fox Sports, or Fox Sports 1, something like that. And it's tomorrow night. So first up we've got Nathan Coy versus Jonathan Webb. Coy's he's got a wrestling background. He will go at you in the stand-up, but he's not really that comfortable from what I've seen of him in the stand-up, so it doesn't take him long at all to shoot for a takedown and go to the ground. When he's in the stand-up, he seems to get tagged a lot, and he doesn't seem to have a very good chin on him. Jonathan Webb is quick in the stand-up with his strikes. He's got a lot of power, and he can take you down to the mat in a blink of an eye. He really smothers his opponents well. Looks very versatile in all areas, I think. I think it will be an easy win, to be honest, for Webb. I think he looks far stronger and quicker and more explosive, and he's just, in general, he's got more skills. I'm going to go for a first round stoppage for Jonathan Webb. Second up we got Shamil Abdurakhimov, I'm not saying if I'm saying that right, versus Anthony Hamilton. Shamil, one of the first things I noticed of him was his strength. He got took down to the mat, but he reversed the move, and he came out in like the dominant position on the ground. So he can counter quickly for a guy of his size. I think he picks his shots very well, and he doesn't tire himself out in the stand-up, because he doesn't just go full pelt with like combinations and then gas himself out. He picks his shots well, which I think is crucial at any weight class, but especially in the heavyweight division, bigger guys tire out quickly. So I think that's a crucial factor for him. He's got leg sweeps in his arsenal. His ground game needs a lot of work, I think. He's good at taking his opponents down, but he looks kind of lost when he gets them there. He just uses his weight, but there's not really any submissions, and I say if he does win in the ground game, it'd be via TKO and ground a pound. Hamilton, if he can time it right, he's got a lethal head kick. He won against Smilino Rama with a head kick knockout. It was impressive. Apart from that, though, I'm not overly impressed with him other than his head kicks. I just think he looks a bit amateurish and not as well rounded as Abdurakhimov, so I'm going to go with Abdurakhimov in a judge's decision. Kelly Fajols versus Lauren Murphy. Fajols is a very nice stand-up striker. She's got a wrestling background. She picks her shots well in the stand-up. She's got good timing in it. She has submission ability on the ground. She's won via rear naked choke before. She's comfortable on the ground because of her wrestling background. She's good at controlling in the clinch. She looks very strong when she's in the clinch. I think she's comfortable in her guard, and she's won previously with a guillotine submission in the guard on her back. Lauren Murphy looks very comfortable in the stand-up. She picks her shots well as well. She's good at coming in and out with the strikes and avoiding the counters. I think she's got good quick feet. She's got good movement, and she's got takedown ability too. Very ferocious ground and pound when she gets her opponent in a mounted position, and she's on top. She's got dangerous elbows when she's in that position too. I predict this to go the distance. I'm going to give the edge to Fajols. I just think that she looks a bit more polished. but I could see it going either way. But I'm going to go for Fashol's. I'm going to go for a judge's decision in this one as well for Fashol's. Next up we got Marion Renaud versus Ashley Evans Smith. Renaud likes to throw kicks in the stand-up. She's got a kickboxing style about her. She's also got a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, so she's comfortable if it goes to the mat, and she knows what she's doing when she's in that situation. So Smith, she's very good on the mat as well. As you would expect, she smothers her opponents. She's got very quick punches that she throws in combinations which work well. She does get tagged a bit in the stand and pound. He's got a nice stand-up style, like a boxer, but he also mixes it in with Muay Thai strikes, and he uses a push kick a lot like a jab, but to the body, like to the midsection. He does struggle to finish his opponents via submissions when he's in dominant positions, so that's definitely something he needs to work on. I think Leonardo, he needs to work on his movement a lot. He will strike and throw kicks in the stand-up and trade, but he will literally stand in front of you, and his movement and footwork is not good enough. So he will get tagged a lot. Now he's got a lot of heart and he's very tough, but he definitely needs to move more. Because he does get rained down on with punches, and he only sort of covers up instead of like using his footwork to get out of positions. He gets caught against a fence a lot. So he does have knockout power in his hands. He's heavy-handed. He has submission ability as well, but most of the time he likes to stay in the stand-up. I think it's got the potential to be a very good fight. If it goes to the ground, I see Leonardo taking it via TKO or submission. I think Smith has the advantage in the stand-up, and I want to go with Leonardo as I think he's got a bit more experience and a better ground game, and if Smith puts too much pressure on him in the stand-up, I see him taking it to the ground and winning via submission in the third. Next up we've got Daniel Serafine versus Oluwalu Bambozi. Not sure if I'm saying that right. Safarian lethal in the mounted position with his ground and pound. Previous Ultimate Fighter contestant. He's a grinder and can take punishment and keep going. I do think he is past his prime, and I think he should be thinking about retirement, as he is near the bottom of the ladder in his division, and I just don't feel he's at the level he needs to be to progress up that ladder. And yeah, age isn't on his side. So Bambozi is very quick with his strikes and combinations. He's got good movement. He's hard to hit because of his natural speed and footwork. He's got knockout power. He's won by head kick, KO and stoppages from ground and pound. He looks very dangerous with his ability, but it's hard to predict what he's going to do because he's so explosive and unorthodox in his approach. And I think that puts him at a big advantage, because you just don't know what strategy he's going to use on the counter and stuff like that. So I've seen glimpses of him on the mat, but from what I've seen, he's so dominant in the stand-up and unpredictable that he relies on that, and he doesn't really work too much on the ground, which I think is a very dangerous game plan, regardless of how good you are in a stand-up, because anything can happen on any given night. So I think if you need to be at a decent level in all areas, or even better than a decent level to get where you want to get to. I'm going to go for a first round knockout for Bambosi. I see him coming out of the gate, smothering Cerrone with loads of combinations, and I'm going to go for either a punch knockout or head kick knockout. I'm going to go for that in the first round. Alex Garcia versus Sean Strickland. Garcia, he's got very nice takedown skills, ground and pound, and he wins in a number of ways. In general, I think he's a very all-rounded fighter. To give you an idea of his MMA record, he has had 15 professional fights. He's only lost 2 of them, and I think that speaks volumes for his potential and ability. Strickland has a total of 17 fights and only 1 loss, so there really isn't a lot in their records and abilities to pick between. Strickland lost to Brandon Hunt in a title fight when Hunt got him in a mounted position on the ground, and he just rained down on him with punches, and he won via TKO. So Strickland's defence in the guard appears to be pretty average, so I think Garcia will look to go to the ground in the fight and go for that position. I think that Strickland in the stand-up lacks footwork and makes him easy to hit. He will literally stand directly in front of you and just trade. And I think that Garcia is very quick, so I'm going to go for Garcia to win, and I'm going to go with a submission finish in the second round. James Krause versus Shane Campbell. Krause was made to look like an amateur against Cerrone, and he was just constantly getting hit with punches and lost via a rear naked choke, and I think it showed his lack of experience. I feel he needs to have a much better performance this time around if he wants to win, as he looked very poor in that fight. He has a lot of losses due to submissions too, so I think he's very vulnerable on the ground and needs to improve on this massively. He's got a nice roundhouse kick, but as I said, he's got a lot of other areas he needs to work on first. He likes to use and submit opponents, but yeah, he's got a lot of areas he needs to work on, especially defense. Like, that needs to be his main priority for this fight. Shane Campbell, I think he looks very experienced in his guard. He's got positive strikes when he's in his guard too. I think that he's got good wrist control and is effective in guard defense against ground and pound, so I think he's a very good striker, and there's various styles of striking in the stand-up as well. He places and times his shots well and his strikes. I think it's going to be a very one-sided fight in favour of Campbell. I just think he looks far superior, and Krause just isn't on his level in any aspect, and I expect this to be over within seconds. I'm going to go for a first round TKO to Campbell. Chris Camozzi versus Joe Riggs. Camozzi likes to throw a lot of strikes. He drops his hands quite a bit, so definitely gets tagged as well. If he isn't cautious, and I think he needs to make a conscious effort to keep his hands closer to his head, because he drops his hands a lot. He can submit opponents when he gets to the mounted position on the back of his opponent. He needs to improve his footwork a lot, and he's literally another one that will stand in front of his opponent and just trade. And I think that's just too dangerous to do at this level. He isn't the quickest with his movement and strikes, and I think he telegraphs his moves a lot, so his opponents read his strikes very easily, so they can avoid his strikes as well. I think Riggs has a similar stand-up movement to Camozzi, but he's got a better, he holds his hands higher to his head, and I I think once he gets inside in a stand up, he's super quick with his combinations, very much like a boxer in a close distance sort of striking fight. I think he's a good counter fighter. He's got okay back control. I think he smothers his opponents superbly, and he also wears them down. So he doesn't have the best chin, and he's lost some fights by getting tagged there. So I think that's a very cautious thing he needs to be aware of. He's got dangerous ground and pound. I'm gonna go for Riggs. I think he's got better movement and better ground and pound skills. And just ground skills in general. I think he's got a better stand up as well. So I'm gonna go for a second round submission for Joe Riggs. Next up, we've got Dennis Bermudez versus Tatsuya Kabajiri. I think Bermudez has an advanced stand-up game and lethal power and quick hands. One of the best takedown artists out there, I think, and the power once he gets to the floor to keep his opponents where he wants them. He's got very powerful, quick, explosive movements, and most of his opponents haven't had an answer for that power that he's got. And he's also got submissions too. I think he's dangerous with his knees in the clinch. He's got that. He kind of got a brawler type boxer stand up style, with knockout power. So I think he's very dangerous in the stand up, especially. Kawajiri, previous shoot fight wrestler, pretty good when in top position in ground and pound. He's got powerful hands with knockout power as well. So far, his UFC career has been up and down. Some fights have been cancelled for him, and also injuries. So he hasn't had a clear run of fights to gain momentum and confidence. So he's not had a run in the same year. So he's very rusty, I think. And Bermudez, on the other hand, is very active. So I think Bermudez is going to overpower Kawajiri and be far too quick for him. I'm going to go for a TKO first round for Bermudez. Cody Garbrandt versus Augusto Mendes. Cody is unbeaten so far in his career, in his professional career. He's got 7 wins. No, he's got a total of 7 wins. 3 of those were with the UFC. He's a boxer / wrestler. Nice takedown defense, quick-footed. He avoids strikes well. Wins most of his fights via TKO. Mendes, he's just got a jiu-jitsu background. He's from Brazil, surprisingly. Transitions well from top position in someone's guard. And he's good at transitioning as well in the guard to go for armbar submissions. As you would expect, he's got good takedown moves. Very controlled when he's in the mounts. I think this could be a very interesting fight, as Garbrandt won't be completely out of his depth if it goes to the ground, because he's got a wrestling ability, but he doesn't have that jiu-jitsu experience that Mendes has, from what I've seen. And Mendes is a very more experienced fighter. So I'm going to go for an upset in this, and I think Mendes will hand Garbrandt his first professional defeat. I see them going to the ground from the first round. I don't think it'd take long at all to go to the ground. And I see Cody leaving an arm loose and Mendes capitalising on it and getting him to tap via an armbar. Derek Brunson versus Roan Carneiro. Brunson was shown not to have any type of chin against Salazar, and it really can't have done his confidence any good going forward. It was a very quick knockout as well. He's got quick feet, but not the highest fight IQ and timing. He's pretty quick hands, but doesn't think about his defense when in his stand-up as much as I think he should. He just lunges forward and goes in with no technique a lot of the time. I think Carneiro's got a nice ground and pound game, nice ground game as well, and takedown ability. very experienced. He's got nice transition moves on the ground. I think he's very aware of his positioning. He's got submissions in his game as well. Likes to use the rear naked choke if he can. I'm going to go with Carnero in this, as I believe Brunson is too wild with his stand-up and will just leave too many openings for Carnero to use a submission on him. So I'm going to go for a first round submission for Carnero. And finally, main event, got Donald Cerrone versus Alex Oliveira, Cowboy versus Cowboy. I think Cerrone's got a very underrated ground game. We don't really get to see it a lot because he's so dominant in the stand-up a lot of the time. Saying that, he's coming off of 2 back-to-back losses against Dos Anjos. Now, he may be the champion, Dos Anjos, but I think that mental side of it will still play a huge factor for Cerrone, because he's got no momentum coming into this fight. And it's going to be interesting to see where his mind's at. I think Cerrone has the better ground game of the two, but I see it as if there's not a lot to pick between the stand-up between both of them. Oliveira wins most of his fights via TKO or knockout in the stand-up, and I like his movement as well. I think he looks light and quick on his toes, and ready to throw strikes. I think that if it goes to the ground, Cerrone will have too many weapons, and it won't take him long to get a submission on Oliveira. If they keep it in the stand-up, I could see Oliveira causing an upset. If he times his shots right, I believe he's got quicker hands than Donald and better footwork as well. But Cerrone's got a good history in the stand-up, so it could go either way. I think he needs to be very wary of Cerrone's kicks, as I could see him coming in for strikes and getting tagged with a head kick or body kicks. I think it will be a very close fight, and it could go the distance. I'm going to go for Oliveira, as I believe mentally he's in a better place, got more momentum coming into the fight. I'm going to go for a third round TKO for Oliveira. Thanks for your support. Please subscribe and share to any MMA fans you think might like it. If you've got friends that like UFC stuff as well, show them my vid. Even if they don't like it, just share it, see what they think. I'm still pretty new doing these cards, so any hate is welcome. I'm used to the hate, but appreciate everyone that's supporting anyway, and I'll see you soon.